For most gamers, July and August are peace times, times to finish up Tears of the Kingdom, complain about your live service addictions, and sit down with an ice cold tea and Pikmin 4 to soothe your woes. But not so for the co-op gamer in the year of 2023. That's right, the war machine continues with both Remnant 2 coming out in July and Baldur's Gate 3 in August. You think the boys are taking it easy right now? Think again, the boys are ramping up the content creation to 11, and today is no exception. We're here in the monthly to fill you in on the co-op games that came out last month, the co-op games coming out next month, and any co-op news in between. That's right, it may be a shorter monthly, but it's still July's monthly, so let's get to it.
Unlike last month's slim selection of games to round up, July gave us plenty of co-op games to celebrate summer with some friends. Exoprimal was the first July release, and it was one we were looking forward to after all the praise I gave it in our beta preview. Unfortunately, the full release didn't quite live up to our expectations, and it seems we're not alone in that, as Exoprimal ended up with a 68 on OpenCritic. If you want to hear what we thought of it, check out our impressions video where Andrew breaks it all down. Here's the short of it though. Exoprimal is fun, especially with friends and on Game Pass, but it has a really weird structure that doesn't quite work and ultimately isn't really worth the $60 in its current state. Now, a game that is 100% worth every penny is Ember Knights. Ember Knights is a 4-player roguelike that got a full release after being on early access on the 18s, and this game deserves all the praise. It doesn't have enough reviews on OpenCritic quite yet, but it does have an overwhelmingly positive user rating on Steam. We're actually working on our review right now, so look forward to our full thoughts on Ember Knights soon, but little spoiler alert, we think it's a banger. Pikmin 4 is easily the highest rated release of the month with an 88 on OpenCritic, and it's well deserved, at least from a single player perspective. Like we've mentioned before, the co-op mode falls under what we like to call the little sibling mode category, which is to say, it's mostly there if you want to share the game with a younger sibling or a child, or like a more casual gamer. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. This is a very cute, cozy game to share with those loved ones. But it's still a tad disappointing it didn't launch with a more robust mode like what we've seen with Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Moving on, we have Remnant 2. That's right folks, it's finally here. The highly anticipated follow-up to Remnant from the Ashes has been on our calendars ever since it blew our socks off with its reveal. Thankfully, it seems to have stuck the landing. Remnant 2 is currently sitting at an 81 on OpenCritic. I really liked how Ali Hashmi of What If Gaming summed up their 9 out of 10 review saying this: Remnant 2 is one of the best co-op experiences you can have right now, and it improves on the original in every single way. Its satisfying mix of melee and range combat, memorable boss fights full of creativity, tons of enemy variety scattered in each biome, and excellent presentation make it Gunfire Games' best title to date. We're loving the game ourselves, and we can't wait to put out our review for you guys as soon as possible. Super Raft Boat Together released on the 25th exclusively on Steam. This is a 3-player online co-op roguelike taking place on you guessed it, a raft or a super raft I guess. It looks very chaotic as you're trying to repair the raft while surviving waves of enemies. The game is flying very much under the radar as I couldn't find any critic reviews and it's only received 25 reviews on Steam thus far, but they do tend to trend towards the positive, so give this one a shot if it looks up your alley. Next up, we have Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragon, which was released on the 27th for every platform. This is very much an old school beat 'em up. The overall consensus seems to be that unless you're a hardcore fan of the series, you might want to skip this one. The game has landed on a 74 OpenCritic score, which isn't bad at all actually, but many are saying it's a bit too repetitive, but could still be worthwhile in co-op. Lastly, we have Disney Illusion Island, which released on the 28th for the Nintendo Switch and ended up with a 75 on OpenCritic. Most critics are saying it's a fun, approachable platformer, but maybe don't expect much more than that. Lucky for us, Andrew got some friends on the couch to check it out, so what did you think, bro?
I am so glad you asked, my dude. Disney Illusion Island is way better than it needs to be due to its laser focus on creating an accessible and fun co-op platformer. Despite an array of skill levels, shout out to my friend Molly repping Donald Duck, we had a lot of fun with this title. It has several nice co-op mechanics to make it easier for beginners, like an adorable hug mechanic to give you and your friends an extra life, and the presentation is top notch, like this soundtrack, forget about it. It might not be a contender on people's top 10 lists at the end of the year, but we'll be working hard to make its case for our top 10 co-op games list at the end of the year. August has some sneakily interesting looking games to check out, but we're starting out the month with Baldur's Gate 3, which is anything but sneaky. In case you're totally lost on what this title is, imagine a D&D campaign come to life, with top-notch co-op accessibility to make playing it with your friends a breeze. You've got tons of customization in creating your character, freedom to explore at your own pace, engaging in tough combat, and a whole world just waiting to be explored. It's a little scary to think we'll be playing this for like literally the next 3 to 5 months of our lives, but also good to know that we'll be eating good that whole time. 30XX launches into 1.0 on the 9th, bringing you a modern Mega Man-like experience. Think of the Blue Bomber, but with modern graphics, local and online 2-player co-op, and procedurally generated worlds. It sounds like a great combo to me, and it's boasting very positive user reviews from its early access period, and is also coming to the Switch at launch, so be sure to check it out if this fulfills any longtime Mega Man wishes. Atlas Fallen is an interesting title coming from the developers of the Surge Souls-like series. It's an open-world action RPG with a heavy emphasis on its traversal elements through the sand. The interesting part is that it boasts a fully cooperative campaign and 2-player online co-op. I am intrigued to see how that works, like if it's going to be seamless, what is the shared progression like, are there actually co-op focused abilities that you can build into? This reminds me a lot of Evil West at the end of last year, where that was just a really fun game that happened to have a co-op mode for its campaign. I hope Atlas Fallen has a little bit more cooking there, and we'll have to wait and see on the 10th when it launches for all consoles barring the Switch. Sengoku Dynasty is a survival sim set in an open-world feudal Japan. Not personally something I felt was missing from my life, but maybe fulfills a dream for someone else out there. You'll not just be surviving, but hopefully thriving as you build up your town, meet unique characters, and establish your legacy amongst your people. And best of all, it's got online co-op for up to 4 players. If this does speak to you, then be sure to wishlist it before its launch on the 10th. Hammerwatch II is one that a ton of you in the comments have told us to be keeping an eye on. It's a retro-inspired adventure where you and up to 4 friends explore a dynamic open world, build up a group of heroes, and aid King Roland's resistance from the threat of dragons. Looks like a real gem, and I've heard great reports from the first title. If you like open world games but with a classic retro twist, there ain't a lot of them out there, so here's Hammerwatch II. And finally, we end the month with Moving Out 2. Gabe and I did play the demo, and we can confirm this is more Moving Out, which is really just more overcooked, and that is not a bad thing. Local and online co-op mayhem always makes for a good time, and the Moving Out series is just as good as any other contender in the subgenre. We'll probably try to get in there and play some, if only because we rarely mention this sort of subgenre of party co-op titles on the channel, and you guys have taken notice over the years, so it's time for us to step it up.
It's been a rather slow news month, which I'm not mad about after how packed our last monthly update was. But we still have a couple news stories to go over, so let's start with any updates on released titles. While Exoprimal became the shiny new toy we played with for a week or so, that meant we did walk away from Diablo 4 for the first time since launch. Thankfully, Season of the Malignant is here to reel us back in. The new season launched on July 20th, and with it a new seasonal storyline, new malignant enemy types, a battle pass, and lots more. However, hardcore players are more focused on a new patch that seems to have made a lot of people really angry, so much so that it prompted an apology from the Diablo team. A new patch is scheduled to hit on August 8th, hopefully it makes things right, or at least how they were before. Only other news bit here is a new trailer for Dimension Shellshock, the upcoming DLC for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Among the new additions are a new playable character in Usagi and, like the trailer highlights, a new survival mode. Shredder's Revenge was an awesome title, it was just a little too short, so we're happy to see it get more content. No release date yet, but look forward to the DLC releasing later this year.
time to dig into the titles that haven't quite released yet but got some pretty big updates. We got to see a good chunk of gameplay for Helldivers 2 in their recent co-op and combat trailer. They highlighted the ability to call down all tons of crap from the skies with stratagems, the importance of paying attention to mission types and adjusting your strategy, and of course, friendly fire, cause why not make friendly fire permanent? It all looks awesome, and rumor has it the game has already been rated and might be releasing this October. Fingers crossed that that one is true. Myth Force, the Saturday morning cartoon roguelike adventure that we played during Steam Next Fest, is getting a release date for the 12th of September. We really enjoyed what we played, and the 1.0 brings updates to the loot system, customization, and roguelike elements. As a reminder, it has 4-player online co-op and will be out on every system. We think it's worth adding to your calendar. Enshrouded got the IGN preview treatment, where they detailed how the game is shaping up to be a mix of Valheim and Minecraft, a pretty spicy combo. Check it out if you want to see more on the survival elements, skill trees, combat approaches, and more. It was a really big preview worth watching. It does look interesting to me, thanks in part to the 16-player online co-op, but it's got a ways to go until we get our hands on it, with early access still not coming until later this year. Be sure to wishlist it on Steam to help the team out. Trine 5 got its release date for later this month on the 31st, which makes me think I should have mentioned it earlier in the upcoming games, but it's too late for that. I'm almost done editing the video. It also got a trailer detailing one of the 3 legendary heroes, Pontius the Knight. If you've played Trine games of old, his abilities probably won't surprise you. This is a long-running co-op puzzle platformer that we have dabbled with in the past. Hopefully we can tear ourselves away from Baldur's Gate 3 for just a few hours to let you all know how Trine 5 shapes up. Lords of the Fallen got a huge, 18-minute gameplay trailer, and for the first time they showed off some co-op specific gameplay. They boasted how seamless the co-op should be, mentioning that your friend can stay with you as long as they want. They won't be sent home after boss fights like in normal Souls games. Interested to see if there's going to be shared progression, because it would definitely boost this title high up on my most anticipated list. Don't forget it's coming out on next-gen consoles and PC on October 13th. And we'll end on this month talking about Hawked, the newest entrance to the PvEvP extraction shooter mold, a genre that we've wanted to get into for a while now. You and a team of 3 will drop into the island with 10 other teams of 3 all looking for 2 pieces of treasure that if you loot, you can upgrade and use in later runs. There's also lizard people NPCs to contend with, hence the PvE element, and hence why I'm talking about it here. And they have a lot of really interesting traversal elements and puzzles going on. There's a lot in this package. But of course, I haven't addressed the elephant in the room. Yes, this looks an awful lot like Fortnite. So, love it or hate it, that's a choice that could make or break the game. For now, you can check it out. It's got an open beta on the 3rd of this month all the way to the 17th. And that's going to be it from us, guys. There weren't any new co-op games announced for us to mention here. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you liked the video or consider subscribing, and stick around this week because we still got more content that we're planning on delivering. We'll catch you next time on another episode of the Co-op Bros.